I am recording this so that if anybody wants to refer to it, hi Laura, later on. Also on my website, and I can send you the link, it's on my Rabbi Mark website, it says the MOSh Pit. I'm listing all the resources, including links, books, links to music that I might have referred to during the hour. And one such thing that will be one of the resources is a setting that was written by the good folks at Nava Tehillah, using the name of God that God introduces God's self to Moshe at the bush when Moshe says, "So no, who should I tell him sent me?" And here's God's response: Ehiyeh asher ehiyeh. 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 So feel free to sing it with me. Ehiyeh asher ehiyeh. Ehiyeh asher ehiyeh. Ehiyeh asher ehiyeh. Ehiyeh asher ehiyeh. One more time. Ehiyeh asher ehiyeh. 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 Good evening, everyone. What a joy to be together on another Wednesday night. Someday I'll tell you there's a beautiful Hasidic story of Shabbos on Wednesday, but that's not on the menu for tonight. Tonight we're going to start with a review of the last 2 weeks with a couple of twists to it. But 2 weeks ago we started out with the name of God. Yud-Heh Vav-Heh, of course, Ehiyeh is a permutation of the same letters, Yud-Heh Vav-Heh, Ehiyeh, the future tense. And one of the things that I talked about was Reb Zalman's calling the theology, naming the theology of many of us as being stuck in a pediatric mode, calling it a pediatric theology. So what did he mean by that? Well, I told you about a cartoon that I absolutely love by Gary Larson called God at His Computer. And I'm going to share that with you right now because I love it. There it is. You see it. There's the illustration of the man with the long white hair at the computer just waiting to press the enter button. You know, like God's waiting to zap us. You know? For that poor guy, unbeknownst to him, there's a piano overhead, right? I love that. So with that, there's another famous, I don't know if it's famous, another Gary Larson cartoon This one is titled Acts of God. So, we think of God, splitting the sea, but here are the real acts of God. Of course, one of those Renee shares, she's being a juggler. By the way, if there's anything there you go, Jay. If there's anything that you want to chime in, if you have anything you want to say, just unmute yourself. And if you're at a desktop and have a keyboard, you can do that by pressing the space bar and just holding it for as long as you want to talk. When you let go, you'll return to mute. So a fun way to start. God is one. We know that. And last week we did a little unpacking of Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. So this idea that God is one. Oh, where is that? I didn't do it. Okay, I'm going to have to do that right now. Okay, so this idea that God is one, I'm taking out my whiteboard. I'm going to get rid of this stuff right here. Woohoo! And okay. I didn't use this when I was planning on tonight. I thought I had prepared something else. Let me see. I'll make a text. Okay. And so here's how do you spell one in Hebrew? Of course, it's Aleph and Chet, Dalet. All right. So we say that God is one. We can mean many different things by that, but I'm going to approach it from gematria. All right, so you know that in gematria, every letter of the alphabet corresponds to a number. So Aleph is 1. So how does God become 1 in gematria? Right? So we're going to get rid of the. I didn't want to get rid of all of that. All right. So there's an Aleph. If you look closely to the Aleph is made up of 2 different letters. You've got the letter here that is diagonal, and you have these 2 letters which are the same on top and bottom. So Aleph is stretching up to heaven and down to earth. They're pulling it all together, and you have 2 yuds and a vav. Okay, I'm going to stop the share. Does everybody see that? You have 2 yuds and a vav. So quickly, with your gematria and your quick math skills, 2 yuds and a vav equals what? Okay, yud equals, somebody unmute and say, what's yud?
10.
10. Yud is 10. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayach, Het, Tet, Yud. Yud is 10, and Vav is how many? Is 6. There you go. Vav is 6. So Aleph, which is made up of 2 yuds and 1 vav, equals what in gematria? If you take into account what its parts are. What's the math? The math is 26, right? The math is 26. And we're going to go back to my whiteboard. Hopefully I'll have more luck with it now than I did before. Okay, first erase this. Maybe if I just draw, okay. Now if I pick that, what'll happen? All right, Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. Okay. Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, Ehyeh, Asher, Ehyeh. Let's do the math. And then somebody unmute yourself and tell us what it adds up to. We're going quick to their pencils. All right, I'll do it out loud here. What is it? Who said?
It's 26.
Oh my gosh, it's 26. How do you like that? Yud, 10. Hey, 5. 15. Right? Here's another 6. 21 plus 5 is 26. So, Aleph, and we know that Adonai Echad from the Shema, Adonai is 1. And we know that that 1 is also 26, right? So there's your gematria that Adonai is Aleph. Adonai is one. Coming to know whether you come out at it from the plain Hebrew of it, Adonai Echad, or you come at it using gematria. Everybody with me so far? So in a wonderful, wonderful teaching by the Degel Machane Ephraim, the great-grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, he teaches that the world as we know it came into existence by God speaking into existence. As we proclaim every morning, Baruch she'amar v'haya olam, right? Blessed is the one who spoke and the world came into being. But what was the mechanism by which that happened? Using words. And those words are made of letters. And the Degel Machane Ephraim points out that our world as we know it is only one possible combination of all the permutations of those letters that spewed out from divinity when the vessel's cracked. That could be. Now, it's a wonderful book that I'm going to put on the resource list. It's called Mr. G. It was written by Alan Lightman. He's a physicist at MIT. And I'm assuming that he's Jewish, but I don't know. And the first line of the book is, this is the God character speaking. Mr. G is a small g. As I remember, I had just woken up from a nap when I decided to create the universe. And there's other characters in the story. There's an aunt and there's two other characters that God kind of has these conversations with. The book is both funny and, from a scientist's point of view, he's saying basically the same thing that the Degel Machane Ephraim said, oh, so many years ago, right? That this is the only possibility, one of many, many possibilities that could have been, right? Imagine a world with more than 3 dimensions. So both Alan Lightman and Degel Machane Ephraim talk about that. Any questions so far? I'll take that as a no. Okay. 1 second. So back to Shema. And here we're going to begin new material. We had a number of unpacking of translations from last week of what Shema means. But for now, let's use listen and pay attention. Okay? Listen or pay attention. But, or and, let's play with that word for a moment in the same spirit of play as the Degel Machane Ephraim used when he broke this down oh so many years ago. And look at the letters of Shema. Shin, Mem, Ayin. Shin, Mem, Ayin, which actually broken down into Shin, Mem, and Ayin, we have 2 words. And those words are Shem, Ayin. The name is Ayin. Ayin is nothing, right? So we're glimpsing in here that the name of God is nothing, which I'm further going to break down to no thing, right? No thing. The name, being itself, is not a thing, but rather it's no thing. So when we say our Shema, and this was a question you brought up the other a couple of weeks ago, Susan Chaya, we close our eyes so that we immerse ourselves, we settle ourselves, we drop into that place of non-duality, of no thingness. Because when we open our eyes, we see things. We see all of the opposites, which of course were the original things that were created at the beginning of creation. There's a wonderful saying that I don't know who to credit to, but there's a saying that God says about us. God says about God's children that they are more powerful than I am because they can make nothing out of something. I made something out of nothing, but they can make nothing out of something. So that's where we want to go when we are saying Shema. We really want to make nothing out of everything that we see. So let's take a moment here for meditation. Okay. I'll sing Shema if you want to sing it to yourself very, very quietly, almost imperceptibly, so only you can hear it or say it. And as you do, allow yourself to drop into that deep, deep well of no thingness that's accessible through silence and release and spaciousness. So I'm going to whisper the words, if it helps to cover your eyes for a moment. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. And if you allow yourself in the imaginal realm to allow the Dalet of the Chad to bring the elevator from the top floor of Atzilut back to this world of dimensionality. And anytime you're ready, open your eyes. Perhaps see if colors look a little different, or if the sounds around you are a little more magnified or acute. A quote I want to share with you that I discovered today, and perhaps this is where we go. This is what we recognize in the deepest place of Shema. You are primal awareness. Life is only primal awareness between two thoughts or two perceptions. You are. You know moments in your life when a thought completely disappears into silence, but still, you are. So we don't disappear entirely. We return to the four worlds. Shema, pay attention. Deuteronomy 6:4. Yisrael, you who strive for God. Adonai, Yud He Vav He. The root letters of the word to be, the name of being itself, creation, it's all its variegated, wondrous, broken, mysterious, jagged, and beautiful forms. Eloheinu, our God, the one we seek and the one we serve, Adonai, the Lord of all being, is Echad, one, Yechido Shel Olam, the only one of being. For the remainder of our time, I'm going to be leaning on a beautiful teaching of Rabbi Lawrence Kushner. If you don't know his work, you should. And Kushner wrote a wonderful article, which I'll try to get up on the website too, called "The Unity That Is Not Unity." So remember where I wanted to go, and I'll begin it tonight, and we'll finish it up next week, is the seeming contradiction between Shema, Adonai Echad, and the end of Aleynu. Ba'yom hahu yihye Adonai Echad u'Shemo Echad. On that day, God's name will be one, and God will be one. So no, what is it? So Kushner says, the contradiction presented in these two verses leads to this conclusion. Not only is God neurotic, the self alienated from its name, but so is anyone else who insists daily that God is one, but God is not yet one. Isn't that great? So we do that, right? Well, we daven. For those of us who daven once a week on Shabbat mornings, we do it. We're guilty. So our central teaching, our mantra of Shema, is falsified by our own liturgy. When do we say Shema? All right, so now we're going to dig in a little bit and find out what's going on here. All right, so somebody answer this question. This is not a rhetorical question. When do we say Shema? When are we instructed to do that? Yeah, Laura, just unmute.
When you get up and when you lie down.
It's right there, right? It's right there in Deuteronomy 4. It's actually, I believe, the only mitzvah that's that time specific. Now, you might ask, when do you lie down? When do I rise up? And what if it's at different times? Judy?
On our deathbed.
So we're also, so in that way, the Shema B'mitah, the Shema that we say as we're falling asleep, because, the rabbis later on added it into the Mariv service, when they instituted the Mariv service. But Shema, it was originally into when you really do lie down, right? And when you really do rise up, okay? So twice a day, right? Now, it's when we go to sleep. And it's both sides of sleep. Now, Reb Zalman, of blessed memory, he might frame it in this way. We say it before logging off for the day, right? We remember a unity that is not yet a unity, and as soon as we log back in, we say it again. God is one. No, God isn't one. But in saying it, we're saying it at the time we're about to give over to sleep, which is non-linear place to be. Right? Our left brains are not really in charge. We're not making decisions. We just let ourselves go. It's the world of unconsciousness. And during sleep, Adonai Echad. During sleep, Adonai Echad. Okay. And when we wake up, the left brain kicks in to the prophet Zachariah's line, Bayom hahu Adonai Echad u'yeh echad, on that day. So when we wake up and we live out our day and do our tasks, whatever we do, it's not yet that day, Bayom hahu, because the left brain is kicked in. It takes what we sometimes refer to as messianic consciousness to walk through our days with that consciousness of da lifnei ata umeh, or Shiviti Adonai lenegdi tamid, know before whom you stand, or put God before you always. Can't, that's like 24/7? I don't know about you. That's not me. Now, so we just talked a little bit about sleeping and the left brain kind of taking a rest. You might not be acquainted with, in the Talmud, in Brachot 57b, says that sleep is 1/60th of death. 60th is 1/60th of death. And what does death all about? And what is sleep all about? What do they have in common? In both places, it's the end of all contradictions. Both places, it's the end of all contradictions. I want to talk for a second about Eliyahu Hanavi. Yes.
Might interject.
Please.
In both places, our soul leaves our bodies. And in the morning we say, Modani lefanecha, and we thank God for shechazarta bi, so returning the soul to me. So before we let the soul go, and when the soul returns, we say Shema.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Thank you. Laura.
So it's kind of what the last verse of Adon Olam is about. Biado of kidruchi v'etishan v'hira. So you're saying, I will not fear because, I'm in your hands and my soul is in your hands. And so you do that presumably when you go to sleep, and certainly you do that as you're, moving toward death.
Right. So at night we make a deposit into God's soul bank. In the morning we make the withdrawal, or maybe God makes the withdrawal. Right? So I want to be mindful of time, but I do want to share with you before we sing off. I just thought of that. Sing off instead of sign off. We sing off. This idea of the resolution of all contradictions. Well, there is a concept that is referred to as teku. And teku is an acronym. It's based upon the idea when whatever you understand to be the concept of Mashiach, of Messiah, when the Messiah comes, Messiah will be heralded by the prophet Elijah, right? Eliyahu Hanavi, right? According to our tradition, when the rabbis had difficulty with a question, and then at the end of it, the question was so difficult, it was unresolved, totally confounded them, teku. Tishbi yataretz kushiyot v'abayot. The Tishbi, the Tishabite, will answer all the difficult questions, all the difficult and unresolved questions, right? That is the resolution of all contradictions. So in sleep and death and messianic times now we'll add to that. On that day, the lion will lie down with the lamb. Whatever image works for you, or if a no image works for you, either way is a taste of Olam Haba, of Shabbos, when it works, right? And I'm going to add of community, of holy community. And I'm so feel blessed by your presence this evening and going forth with this adventure. Feel free, as always, to email me with any questions or suggestions, and to let other people know that this is happening on Wednesday nights. And we'll end with the same song that we started out with, Hayeh Asher Hayeh, which of course is being itself and the unfolding of being from moment to moment to moment. Hayeh Asher Hayeh Hayeh Asher Hayeh. Please sing with me. Hayeh Asher Hayeh 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 Hayeh Asher Never too early to say Shabbat Shalom, my friends.
Thank you.